Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I should have known the warmth in Matilda's house came with conditions. 5 years ago, after my surgery, she greeted me with a warm hug and a gentle smile. "Of course, Mom," she said. "You'll stay with me. Live with me now for as long as you want. Don't worry about a thing." I sold my house, gave some of the money to Matilda to buy a car, and put some in my account. But a year later, I began to notice what I wasn't allowed to do: reach the thermostat, touch the mail, or speak unless spoken to. Today, Philip barged in, his phone glowing. "Grandma, can I use your credit card? This gaming rig is limited time only, $4,500. It's got a titanium GPU or something." My hands paused over my knitting. "Philip," I said gently, "that's far too much money. I'm sorry, but no." He scoffed and left in a dramatic whirl of limbs and muttering. 10 minutes later, Matilda appeared in the doorway. She held a steaming mug in both hands. "I made your herbal tea. For the nerves," she said with an edge of sweetness too sharp to be sincere. I reached out, grateful, until the liquid suddenly sloshed forward, scalding hot, over the rim and onto my lap. I gasped. Pain flared through my thigh. The mug clattered to the floor. Matilda didn't even blink. "You really should be more careful," she said, her voice flat. Then, after a pause, "Honestly, Mom, you could have said yes. What's a few thousand to you? You act like we've asked for your last penny." I gritted my teeth, blinking away the sting, not just from the burn, but from her words. She folded her arms. "Maybe it's time you moved back to your place. You're healing well enough. And frankly, this isn't working. You're making everything harder." I sat there in my damp, burning robe, stunned. "Matilda," I whispered, "I've helped pay for this house, the car, even your last dental surgery." She smiled, thin and sharp. "So?" That single word sliced through me like ice. She turned on her heel and walked away. I didn't call after her. I didn't cry, didn't plead. I simply looked down at the tea staining my lap and understood. This wasn't care. It was containment. And tomorrow, I would leave. That night, I didn't sleep. The burn on my thigh throbbed beneath the cold compress. But it was nothing compared to the ache in my chest. I lay in the guest room, once cheerfully called Mom's space, now stripped of warmth and meaning. The hallway was silent, but not with peace, with indifference. No footsteps, no check-in. I was invisible again, the way Matilda preferred me when I wasn't signing checks. By dawn, I had made my decision. I moved slowly, quietly, folding the few clothes I still owned into my old suitcase. I'd given away most of my things when I moved in. Matilda said it would free up space. What she meant, I now saw, was space for her control. I opened the closet and reached for the shoebox I tucked behind the luggage months ago. Inside, a zippered pouch held my passport, social security card, and a printed list of old banking contacts, instincts I hadn't realized I still trusted. Somewhere deep down, I must have known this day would come. The floor creaked behind me. I turned. It was Philip. He leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, phone in hand. "Leaving?" he asked, voice low. "I am," I said, zipping the suitcase shut. "Because you're mad about the tea?" he said with a sneer. "It was an accident, Grandma." "No, Philip," I said, steadying my voice. "It was a message." He frowned. "Whatever. You could have just paid. It's not like you're poor." "I'm not poor," I agreed. "But I'm not owned." He rolled his eyes and disappeared down the hall. I didn't wait for Matilda to appear. She wouldn't anyway. She'd already shut the door between us when she poured that tea. I tiptoed down the stairs, each step strangely liberating. No one stopped me. No voices called out. I was carrying the suitcase through the home I helped pay for, and still I felt like a trespasser. I reached the front door, turned the knob, and paused. No dramatic exit, no shouting match. Just silence, the kind that follows betrayal. I stepped out into the cool morning air. For the first time in years, I had no one to answer to. And for the first time in years, that felt like freedom. My feet carried me down the street like they'd done it 100 times before. The morning light stretched across the sidewalk, but my steps were heavy and my heart heavier. I had no destination, just a suitcase, an aching burn, and a life suddenly unanchored. I paused by the bus stop, unsure whether I was running away or running toward something. That's when I heard a voice behind me. Mrs. Holloway? I turned startled. It was Blake, my neighbor from 2 doors down, the quiet widower who always watered his lawn with meticulous care. We'd exchanged polite nods over the years, but never more than that. I saw you leave the house with your bag, he said gently. Is everything all right? I hesitated, words catching in my throat. I'm not going back. Blake studied me for a moment. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to, but you shouldn't be out here alone. Come on, let's get you some coffee. I wanted to refuse. Pride rose in my chest like a last defense, but something in his tone, calm, steady, unjudging, made me nod. At the cafe, I sipped from a warm cup with trembling hands. Blake said little, letting the silence speak for both of us. Finally, I whispered, she poured boiling tea on me, my own daughter, because I wouldn't give her son money for a computer. His brow furrowed. That's not care. That's control. I blinked. Someone had said it out loud. Blake leaned in. I know a place. It's called Happy Elderly. My sister moved there last year after leaving a similar situation. They're good people. You be safe. Independent. My fingers gripped the cup tighter. Independent, I repeated. That word tasted like a future I thought I'd lost. But I'll need to go back to my daughter to pick up my bag, I asked Blake. He nodded. I'll help you get there. And just like that, a stranger became the first real ally I'd had in years. The sun had barely risen when Blake's old truck pulled into the driveway. I stepped back inside for one final look at the house I once considered refuge. The kitchen was still steeped in yesterday's bitterness, herbal tea stains on the floor, the air thick with something unspoken. I moved quietly, afraid even of my own footsteps. My purse was where I had left it, by the armchair, but something felt off. I reached inside and froze. My wallet was gone. I rifled through drawers, coat pockets, my suitcase. My bank cards, ID, savings account ledger. Everything had vanished. No, I whispered, she wouldn't. But she would. She already had. A faint creak behind me. Matilda stood in the hallway, arms crossed, lips pursed with deliberate calm. Looking for something, she asked. My wallet? It was in here. Oh, she said lightly, too lightly. I moved it for safekeeping, in case you did something irrational. Irrational? I echoed, heart pounding. You're not thinking clearly. You're tired. You've been through a lot. And that gives you the right to steal from me? My voice cracked, but I didn't care. Her eyes narrowed. It's not stealing. I've handled your finances for years. You never complained. Now suddenly you want to run off with Blake and what? Live like some reckless teenager? I stared at her, stunned by the venom wrapped in reason. You controlled everything. You made me think I couldn't live without you. She shrugged. You can't. A knock at the door cut through the air like a blade. Blake. I stepped back, pushing past her. I can, Matilda, and I will. She grabbed my wrist. You're making a mistake, Mother. I looked her in the eyes, seeing now the cold beneath the warmth, the grip of a daughter who had long since stopped seeing me as a mother, and only as an asset. I pulled free. No, you did. Outside, Blake waited without questions. I climbed into the truck, clutching only what I had managed to pack, and the bitter knowledge that Matilda hadn't just taken my wallet. She had stolen years of my trust. But she would not steal what I had left. Weeks passed at Happy Elderly, yet the quiet never bored me, it healed me. The garden's soft rustle became my morning anthem. I met with a financial abuse specialist Blake recommended. We went over documents I had secretly stashed in a shoebox, the ones Matilda never thought I'd be clever enough to save. Your daughter, the specialist said after reviewing the records, had full access to your pension, savings, even your will. You were her income source. I nodded. I already knew, but hearing it confirmed in legal terms stripped away the last veil of denial. We filed paperwork to freeze joint access. I changed account numbers. A protective order followed, silent and cold. Matilda's angry voicemail started the next day. Mother, one began. I was just trying to help. We can talk about this, right? You don't have to make things ugly. The next message came through tears. I was trying to help, Mom. I didn't mean to hurt you. Another followed, is here. You'll regret turning your back on your own family. I never responded. Instead, I wrote my own letter, short, typed, and hand-delivered by a legal courier. Matilda. I'm not angry. I'm awake. You mistook my silence for weakness and my trust for permission. You will no longer have access to my accounts, my estate, or my peace. I do not owe you explanations, forgiveness, or further contact. I wish you healing, from a distance. Serena. I sealed it and watched from the community garden as the courier drove off. Around me, residents laughed, planted, shared memories like candy. I breathed in freedom as if for the first time. Blake sat beside me with 2 cups of tea, real tea, not whatever bitter concoction Matilda had scorched me with weeks ago. You okay? He asked. I am now, I said, taking a sip. He smiled. Tastes better, doesn't it? Much better, I said, raising the cup. Freedom always does. No more shouting. No more teacups hurled like weapons. Just breath and the sound of my own heartbeat. Steady, quiet, free.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.